Hello friends, this video on heredity and evolution part 10 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Now that we have got an idea about how the traits get passed on from one generation to another. Now the question is, how do these traits get expressed? I mean, what actually happens inside the body of living organism? Here I just showed you by calculative method that what will happen if this kind of organism is bred with this kind of organism. So what will be the type of offspring? Now the question is how they actually get expressed in an organism. So basically genes control the traits of living organisms. Right? So what are genes? Where are they located? As I said, in any living organism, be it plant or animal, the entire body is made up of cells. In case this is the animal cell, here it is the plant cell. Inside the cell, we have the nucleus, and in the nucleus, we have these red colored structures, thread-like structures called chromosomes. If we look at each chromosome in detail, we can see these kind of regions which are known as genes, and genes are nothing but made up of DNA. So a specific section of DNA which code for a particular protein, that is known as a gene. Right? So these genes actually control the traits of living organisms. These genes actually tell us how the living organism is going to be. Right? So each portion of this DNA, let us suppose this portion of DNA, it codes for a specific protein. Say it codes for a structural protein. Right? So this is the gene for the structure of that organism. Similarly, maybe the remaining portion, it codes for some other types of proteins. Right? So again, that part of the gene is responsible for those kind of traits. So as the information in the DNA or as the coding in the DNA changes, different types of proteins are synthesized. Now as the type of proteins which are synthesized varies, the design of the organism also varies. Right? So now let us take an example. So let us take an example from Mendel's experiment itself. Right? So in Mendel's first set of experiment, we saw that the character which he chose for his experiment was the height of the plant. Right? So he took one tall plant and another dwarf plant. Right? Now, if you look at it, if you look at the structure of a plant, on what factors does the height of the plant depends? Now, in one of our previous lessons when we were talking about control and coordination, right, we saw that height of a plant depends on the growth hormones present in the plant. Now, an example of a plant hormone is auxin, right? So, if the amount of hormone is more, the height of the plant is also more. So, it is like plant height. If I talk about, so this plant height depends upon the plant hormones like auxin. So if there are more auxins present in the plant, what will happen? The height will be more. So height will be more and the plant will be tall. Now if the amount of auxin present in the plant is very less, in that case the height will be less and this will result in a dwarf plant. Right? Now who is responsible for the secretion of the hormones? Who is responsible for this? Now, these hormones in turn, like in human beings, the hormones are excreted or secreted by the glands, right? But in case of plants, there are enzymes which are responsible for the secretion of the hormones. And these enzymes in turn are nothing but proteins, right? So, where and who is responsible for the synthesis of proteins? So, these hormones are controlled by the proteins, and who synthesizes proteins? Genes, right? So gene has the information for synthesis of proteins. Now if the gene has alteration, there is some alteration in the gene, that means there will be some alteration in the synthesis of proteins. So if the proteins synthesized are less, then the auxins produced will also be less, therefore the plant will be dwarf. Right? So now you see that how genes control the different traits present in an organism. So this was just an example. So similarly, all other traits which we see in different organisms, be it eye color, hair color, skin color, body appearance, so everything in turn is controlled by something inside the body, and which in turn depends on the synthesis of proteins. And protein synthesis is wholly and solely controlled by the genes. Therefore, we say that genes control the different traits in an organism, right? As we know that both parents contribute equally to the DNA of the offspring during the sexual reproduction through the germ cells, through the sex cells. So each sex cells is haploid, as I have discussed before also, because they contain half the amount of genetic material from each parent, and then these two sex cells combine, and therefore the genetic material from the two parents also combine, and that is how the transfer of characters take place from one generation to the other generation with the help of genes. So this is how the different characters are actually expressed in an organism. Let us now talk about the last topic of this section, heredity, that is sex determination. As I told before also, that sex chromosomes are the one which are responsible for determining sex of an organism, whether it is going to be a male or a female. Now, females always have a perfect pair of sex chromosome, which is denoted by XX. What do we mean by perfect pair? That means both the chromosomes are exactly equal in size and shape. That is why they are called a perfect pair of chromosome, and they are denoted by XX. On the other hand, when I talk of males, they have mismatched pair of chromosomes. That is the Y, that is why they are denoted by XY. The Y chromosome is slightly shorter than the X chromosome. So this is how it looks like in case of a male. Right? Now, what happens during sexual reproduction? As I mentioned before also, if this is the male and this is the female, during sexual reproduction, what will happen? The female will contribute 22 autosomes and 1 sex chromosome. Similarly, the male will contribute 22 autosomes and 1 sex chromosome. So here we will not talk about the autosomes, because sex chromosomes are the one which are responsible for determining sex. So let us only talk about the sex chromosomes. So now, the reproduction takes place with the help of the male and female germ cells, that is the sex cells. So here you can see that this sperm, the male sperm, can carry an X, it can contribute an X as well as it can contribute a Y, because for males the sex chromosomes are XY, for female it is XX. So the female will always contribute a X, therefore the egg cell always has an X. But the male can contribute either X or Y. So there is a possibility that the sperm will carry an X or the sperm will carry a Y. Now what will happen if the sperm carries a X? So this X and X will combine and it will form XX. And what is XX? XX is a female. So a female child will be born. But if the sperm carries a Y chromosome, in that case the Y will combine with X and it will form XY. And what is XY? It is a male. So the child born is going to be a male. So that is how we can say that it is always the father who decides the sex of the child, whether it is going to be a boy or a girl. So now that we have seen that Gregor Mendel gave so much of contribution in the field of genetics, he was the first one to give the principles of inheritance, based on which so many other advanced things came up. The entire subject of genetics came only after Gregor Mendel. Now a very small question: why did Mendel choose pea plant for his experiments? When there are plenty of plants, plenty of organisms, why did he choose pea plant itself? Because there are certain properties which are there in pea plant which makes it very special for these kind of experiments. The first was that pea plant has several contrasting characters like height, flower color, seed color and shape. Like in order to perform these kind of cross-pollination or self-pollination, Mendel needed different characters. The plant should have different properties so that he can check that which characters are getting transmitted to which offspring. right? So this pea plant has flowers of different colors. Violet color flowers are also there, white color flowers are also there. It also has seeds which are of different shapes. Some seeds are round, some are wrinkled, some seeds are green in color, some are yellow in color, some plants are tall, some are dwarf. So there were a variety of contrasting characters available with the pea plant. So he can do a lot of experimentation with different contrasting characters. It has a short lifespan. That was very much advantageous, because if the lifespan is short, Mendel can perform a lot of experiments, right? Because I mean, what he was trying to do was he was cross-pollinating plants, producing new generation. So now if the plant has a short lifespan, so the new generation produced will grow fast. Now as soon as they grow, he can again cross-pollinate them or self-pollinate them, and again the next generation will come up. Since they have a short lifespan, so the plants will also, I mean, they live their entire lifespan. So he can perform a lot of experiments. I mean, he can perform a longer chain of experiment. But in case it would have a long lifespan, in that case, if he have cross-pollinated a set of plants, the next set of plants will take a long time to live its own life. So after that, when he thinks of self-pollinating that plant, it will be too late, right? So he could not have been able to perform a series of experiments with a plant which had a bigger lifespan. So having a short lifespan was advantageous for Mendel in performing his experiments. Convenient to handle, they are not very big or they are not very heavy, so that you will have some difficulty in handling. So they are very easy to handle. Self-pollinated plant in nature. So by naturally, how do they naturally fertilize? By self-pollination. So self-pollination is the natural method, but they can also be cross-pollinated easily. How? By artificial methods. That means, what is cross-pollination? It is nothing but taking the pollen grains from the flower of one plant and then putting it on the stigma of the other plant. So that cross-pollination method is also very easy. So we can see that in a pea plant, he had many contrasting characters to play with in the experiments. A short lifespan. Self-pollination was possible naturally, cross-pollination was possible artificially, and that too it was very easy. So both self-pollination and cross-pollination was also possible with the pea plant. So because of all these advantages with the pea plant, Mendel chose this for his experiments. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online test, get free study material, find tutors and mentors. Thank you once again.